Good morning, everyone. All right, thank you for coming today. I want to tell you about two-step authentication with your SUNNet ID, and not to be confused with two-step authentication with your Slack ID, which will come later. My name is Joanne Cuevas. I'm with University IT on campus. I brought with me another communications specialist from our group, and that's Rachel Foster. And so I'll be happy to answer your questions as we go through this presentation. Is it too close? I'm feeling, okay, feeling strong S's. Okay, so let's begin. So we're going to be talking about the new WebLogin screens. I don't know if you've been logging into the Stanford University screens before December, but they have changed since December 13th. And then we'll talk about doing the new two-step using a smartphone device with Duo Push, and then we'll go through how to set it up, and adding and using a backup device, and even getting a one-time use passcode if you forget everything. And talk about the hardware tokens distribution that I believe happened here on Tuesday, but that doesn't mean it's over. You can still get a hardware token at Stanford University's ID card office in Tressiter Memorial Union. VPN with two-step has actually went live as of yesterday. So if you have to log in to any sites on campus or at Stanford that require Stanford VPN, I'll talk a little bit about that, and then where to get help and resources. So as of December 13th, we got a new look and feel for our WebLogin screens, which aligns more with Stanford identity guidelines. So there's less text, there's more what to do, and an easier process to get through it. This is what the screen looks like after you enter your SUNNet ID, and it's asking you to now enter your two-step authentication. If you have SMS text message, you might see this big red button. If you have Duo Push, you might see a red button that says get your push notification. As well as if you use a token or just use a code method, then you would see a field there that allows you to enter that code in there. If you've never set up two-step authentication for your account, you're brand new, or you're bringing someone on, then they need to get into, say, Access, for example. They'll come across this screen, which will force them to go to accounts.stanford.edu, which would then allow them to set up a two-step authentication method. So let's talk about doing the two-step. How many here dance? No? Nobody? Very quiet group. Very quiet. So before, when we did two-step authentication at Stanford, we had methods. We had SMS text message, and we had Google Authenticator, which gave you a code, and then we had printed lists, which you could print out, and then you get a code, you use it, you cross off that code, and then you use the next one, and when you get to like the 19th code, then you have to renew that list, print out a new one, carry that around with you. So now we have devices that have methods on them. Two-step authentication works on an Apple device, it works on an Android, it even works on a BlackBerry, and it works on a Windows mobile device. So again, previously we had methods, now we have devices set up with methods. Duo offers these methods here for the corresponding device. For the smartphone, when you set up Duo Mobile as an app on your smartphone, that gives you 4 methods that you could take advantage of immediately. You can take advantage of Duo Push, which sends a push notification to your phone. You just click approve, and your website goes through. It allows you to use Duo Passcode, which is the same thing as Google Authenticator, but it's through the Duo app. Duo Passcode, let me back up one step. Duo Push requires the internet, some sort of internet connection, so that you can get that push. Duo Passcode, you can launch the app, click the little green key, and that gives you a passcode. No internet connection needed, whether Wi-Fi or 4G network or whatever. SMS passcode, so you can still use text messaging, and you can do that even if you have Duo Push logged into your computer. To your device. The Duo SMS passcode will still work like it did before. It's just a longer code. I think before it was 6 digits, and now it is 7 digits. And it's coming from, I believe, a 313 area code. And then there's this new way of doing two-step, and it's called phone callback. And what that does is you go to a website, and you have to two-step in, and you can click a button that says, phone me. So it calls your desk phone. This is provided you have set this up in accounts.stanford.edu. You get a phone call, you answer the phone, you push a button, you hang up the handset, and your website goes through. So no entering a code into that website with the phone callback. With the not-so-smartphone or the flip phone, you can take advantage of text message if you have a text message plan on that type of phone, or you can take advantage of the telephone call option. With a tablet or iPad, you can use Duo Push. Again, with the iPad or tablet, you can get a push notification if you have a Wi-Fi connection or you do have a data plan on your tablet. If not, you can take advantage of the dual mobile passcodes. But again, if you're on Wi-Fi, you can take advantage of Duo Push on your iPad or tablet. With the desk phone, again, that's the telephone call. And then the paper list, the printed list is going to be replaced by the hardware tokens, and those came around here on Tuesday. We distributed them. I don't know how many were distributed. Did anybody here get a hardware token? No? Oh, you got a hardware token? Okay, so yeah, it's just a little tiny fob that you can put on your keychain, and you press a button and it gives you a passcode. So whenever you need one, you have that just by pressing a little button on your hardware token. The authentication duration lasts up to 28 days if it's through a browser application that allows for a 28-day cookie to be stored in your browser. Otherwise, there are other websites that are going to require you to two-step in every single time. And I'll be talking about VPN, and that will make you two-step in every single time you log into VPN. So let's look at how it works on the smartphone. Has anybody set this up yet on their smartphone, Duo Push? You have? Okay. So here's what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to set it up. So you get to a web page, and it requires you to do a web login, like say Access. Let's say you want to get your W-2 form. You log in with your SendNet ID, you put in your passcode, you click on the big login button, and then it says, send me a push notification. Again, this is provided it's already set up. You click that button, send a push notification, your iPhone or your Android or your Windows mobile phone gets a notification. If you have that screen locked, you'll have to unlock the screen. You could actually slide, on an iPhone at least, you can slide the dual mobile web login request over to the right, and it launches, well, you put in your passcode, and then it launches the dual mobile app. And then all you have to do is click on approve, and then your website is pushed through. So that's really nice. You don't have to copy in any codes. I really like that. If your Duo app is already launched, and it's open on your screen and you had gone to another website that requires it, you may just see the green bar across the top of this screen here. And you just basically tap that bar, and then it gives you that same look here. You click on approve, and then you're approved and gone through to your website. So just beware that if your app is already launched and it's open, your phone is open and showing that, you won't get that first notification on your home screen. It'll already be right there. Also, you'll notice that this says, does this have a pointer on it? Is that a laser? Yeah, okay. So you'll notice that this is a test environment here. So it says SUACS-SIT. Now it says Stanford University. But there are people on campus that work for the hospital and the med school, the hospital and the children's hospital, and they actually do use Duo as well. So you can have more than one account on your Duo app. Let's say you're using two-step for Google for some reason. You can have your two-step come through Duo as well, as long as they provide you with the instructions on how to add that account, which I'll show you right now what that looks like. So how do you set it up? You start off, in our case at Stanford, at accounts.stanford.edu. You click on the big Manage button, and then it takes you to this screen. of which you press the two-step auth tab. And that two-step auth tab then takes you to this screen of which you add a device. Your default device is going to be there from before we moved over to Duo. So if you had printed list, that's what you'll see as your default in this area here. Or if you had SMS text messaging, it'll say your preferred method is SMS text messaging. But now you're adding the Duo mobile app to your account, so you'll need to set that up. Add a device, and then you get this screen. So it says, like, what kind of device do you want to set up for two-step authentication? And you say, I want to set up my smartphone. So you just click the smartphone option, and it opens up to this page here. So it needs to know the telephone number so that it can send you a push notification or send you a phone call to your device. Give the device a name. Now, this may not seem important, but it actually is, because when you go to your WebLogin screen, you may have multiple devices set up, and you sort of want to, at a quick eye glance, see which one is which and what each device does. So if I have Joanne's SU iPhone, I know this is my iPhone device, and I can choose that if I wanted to choose a different method, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. So moving on with the Duo app setup. So then you say, yes, I want to use Duo Mobile. You're going to pause right here, and you're going to go out to your phone, and you're going to go get the app. So just go to your regular Apple Store or App Store and find Duo Mobile. Now, if you're on an iPhone you can look in the iPhone catalog. If you're on an iPad, you want to set up Duo Push for your iPad, look in the iPhone apps, not the iPad apps. Unfortunately, they made one app, and they made it to work on both the iPhone and the iPad. So if you look under the iPad apps, you won't find a Duo Mobile app there. Just switch over your screen to the iPhone apps. You can find it there, and then you can download that to your iPad. For the tablet, you'll use your Google Play Store or your Windows Store.
Joanne, if Slack people are enrolled in our MDM, the Duo app is in the Slack app.
Oh, nice. Okay. So yeah, if you're enrolled in, how many here are enrolled in MDM for Slack? You're it, and the gentleman up in the corner. Oh, and you also too. Okay, so then you could just go to your app catalog on your device that was downloaded when you got MDM, and it'll have Duo Mobile there already. Now you could just go to the next step, which is, after you went to that previous screen, you would see this, and this is where you would download the app. So now you're going to launch the app, and you just tap on Duo Mobile, and you add an account, and it has its own barcode scanner, so it takes advantage of your camera to scan the code that we provide for you. And you just click Scan Barcode and put your phone right on top of that barcode, scan it, it receives it, and then it comes back and says Stanford University, and then it has this little green key next to it. That little green key is the key that you can tap to get a code immediately, whether or not you have an internet connection. You could be completely with no Wi-Fi, you could be with no 4G network, 3G network, and you can tap this key, and it'll give you a code that you can use on any screen that requires two-step login. So you have like a token already if you have this app on your phone. It's very similar to the hardware token. The hardware token gives you, I believe, a 6-digit code, and this gives you, I want to say it's 6-digit code also. Let's do a quick check on that. Duo tap. So if you can see this, I just tapped the key, and it gives me a 6-digit code, and I can use that code in any screen that allows me to enter a code. I'm going to show you how to use a different method if you don't have your default method with you. So now what if I forgot my default method and I get to a web login and I need to enter two-step authentication? If I have a backup device, I can use that, which is awesome. So I can set up any of these devices, my office phone, my home phone, my iPad or tablet. I can get a hardware token. Notice I don't include printed list as a backup device because it actually is going to be going away as of May 1st. So we are no longer going to be supporting printed lists. That's going to be replaced by the hardware token. You can set up as many devices as you own. So what happens is you get to this WebLogin screen and it sees your default method and it says, it has the big red send me a push notification button because that's what you entered in as your default, but you left your phone at home. So now you have to get into this web page. So you can click on Authenticate in a different way. And provided you have set up a backup method, which I highly encourage you do as soon as you go back to your office, if you haven't done so already. Click on that link, and then it shows you the different methods that you did set up as backups. And that's where the name of the device comes in handy. So as you can see, this one says Joanne's desk phone. So I put in that this is my desk phone, and I can get a call back to my desk phone even if I don't have my smartphone with me that day. I forgot it at home. So I click on the call to authenticate. Notice the SU iPhone here. All these methods are included with Duo Mobile, so it gives me all of those methods. So if I didn't want to do push notification, I could have easily clicked on text passcode, and then that would send me a text message to my phone if I had my phone with me, and then I can enter that code. Or I could even do call to authenticate on my iPhone as well. But I don't have my iPhone, so I want to use my desk phone. So it calls me, comes from this number here, 650-725-4357, which if you recognize 4357 equals HELP, help. So you press a key and it says, okay, thank you, goodbye. And your website goes through. So the callback is a nice backup method if you have a phone on your desk. If you don't have a phone on your desk, then you might want to choose a different method as a backup device. So how do I set that up? Again, I'm going to go back to that accounts.stanford.edu, click on Manage, click on the two-step authentication tab, add another device. So as I add a device, I can go here, and now this time I'm going to choose landline. I just enter in my telephone number, my name, the name of the device, and continue. And then it's going to ask me, okay, since you had a device already, do you want this new device to be your default, or do you want the old device to remain as your default? So I'll say, no, I'll keep my iPhone as my default, but I want this one as a backup. So now I forgot my smartphone device. I don't have a backup method. I need to get into Access. I want to get my W-2 form. How do I get a code? There's this new option called the one-time use bypass code. For the one-time use bypass code, allows you to just get a one-time use code. Previously, you had to call the help desk, and they had to wipe out everything that you did in accounts and have you start all over again, setting up a default device. But now you can go in and get this one-time bypass code. And when you do get that one-time bypass code, this is a good opportunity to say, okay, well, let me just take this moment to set up a backup device like my desk phone in case this ever happens to me again. So you can use that bypass code for that option. So to get it, on that same login screen where you have the big red button that shows you, which method you chose as a default, now you can, instead of going to that or authenticating in a different way because you don't have a backup device, you can't use this, you can go to forgot or lost your two-step authentication method. When you click on that, it sends you to this page here, and you want to click on lost your two-step device, and then it sends you to this page here where you can enter the criteria that it requests, and then it'll give you the one-time use bypass code. Again, that's used for one time only. So I would take advantage of that, and I would use that to go into accounts and set up a backup method, then use that to go into your Access and get your W-2. That way you'll always have that backup method available should this ever happen to you again. Some need to knows: when you set up Duo for your smartphone, you can use push, text, passcode, and callback. That all comes with that one Duo mobile app. Duo Push does need the internet. It's just a little reminder here. You can use cell service or Wi-Fi. The Duo passcode does not need the internet, so that's when you click on the little green key. Then you get that passcode. Duo can call or text you at an international number. The text is, if it costs 20 cents or less, it'll text you there. So I believe we have a number of international numbers that it would text you at or call you at. It can be used with multiple accounts. I talked about that earlier. Some people, like we have affiliates that work at the university, and then they're also physicians, so they work with the hospital. So the hospital has one set of Duo requirements, and then the university has a different set.
Joanne, some of the people who work on our ERP system here are using Duo at the lab, and they would use this mechanism for that.
Yes, that'd be great. Awesome. When setting up Duo on an iPad, again, don't forget, search in the iPhone catalog. And non-smartphones can use phone callback or text, so they can still use both. Printed lists are going away as of May 1st, and hardware tokens are here. Did anyone, well, that's right, I already asked the question. Anyone get a hardware token? I think you were the only one. If you find that you might want a hardware token, we are going to start distributing them from the Stanford ID card office, and that's located in the Tressiter Memorial Union. So if you want to go have lunch and at Tressiter one day, you can go upstairs to the second floor, look for the ID card office, show your ID, and they'll provide you with a token starting next week. So talking about the hardware tokens, they are the replacement for the printed list. We actually wish that people would use something like the Duo Push or the Callback, but we are supplying the hardware tokens for those that don't have a secondary device, or they don't use a smartphone, they don't use a mobile phone. We actually do have many faculty members, many staff members that actually don't use their device for any Stanford business at all. So the hardware token is their best option. It's an Authentication 3600 model. It's the replacement for printed list. It's a 6-digit code that you press the button and it gives you the code. It lasts for 30 seconds. So between the time that you push that button and the time that you enter that code, it should be within that 30-second window. If the first token is free, but if you lose it, damage it, or it's stolen, then a replacement would cost $25 at the Tressiter office. And if you forget your token, use a backup device. When we hand out the tokens, we hand out this card here, and it just describes how the token is used, but it also has information about the different other methods that you have available to you. The tokens are seeded with Stanford information, and then when someone requests one, they give the ID card office their SendNet ID. The ID card looks them up, office looks them up, make sure they're an active, valid employee, and then they populate, they connect the token with your SendNet ID information, and that's what gives you the permission to use that token on web authenticated sites that you have to push through. So we did pop-up distribution centers. Yours was actually the very last one, and that was on Tuesday. And then on March 2nd, the official token distribution will start at Tressiter. Any questions so far on anything? I gave you all the information you absolutely need. Okay, well, let's talk about VPN. How many here VPN into somewhere? A couple of you? A couple, 4 of you. Okay, so at Stanford, as of last week, you didn't need to two-step authenticate to VPN in to any of the Stanford VPN services. I don't know if that's if there's a VPN service here as well.
So we, at the lab, we have our own VPN service, which is distinct from the university VPN. Some of you may use the university VPN for particular purposes. And we are not currently using two-step authentication on our VPN, although that's planned for the future.
Okay. So if you happen to VPN into the Stanford VPN, then this information applies to you. So I'll just walk through it real quickly. So It is now required. The supported VPN clients are the built-in Mac VPN client, the native one that comes with it. And then Anyconnect for Windows and Linux is what is working with our VPN service at Stanford. To get more information on VPN at Stanford, you can go to vpn.stanford.edu, and if you have to download the Interconnect client, you could do so from su-vpn.stanford.edu. So how it works, and this is what it looks like on a Macintosh, is you have this little icon up on your status bar at the very top. If you don't, you can go into your preferences and make sure that it appears there. And then you just click on that, pull down the menu, and connect to Stanford VPN. Once you get there, you put in your SendNet ID and your SendNet ID password. Click OK, and you get this menu here. And the menu says, if you want to use Duo Push right now, you can just enter the number 1 in the field. If you want to use a phone call, you enter number 2. If you want to use your other phone call method, the first one is my desk phone, the second one is my cell phone. Or do you want to use an SMS passcode? Then you can click number 4. All of these require Duo to send you something. If you have a hardware token, all you need to do is press the hardware token button and don't even put a number in here, just enter the code right into this field. It says password, but it really means two-step code, passcode. Actually, with these screens, we couldn't change a whole lot. So you'll see something that really doesn't make a lot of sense. In this case, the Duo Push option is the one that I chose. So it sends me that same notification. I put in my passcode. I get the little login screen or the approval screen. I press approve, and then I'm through to my internet connection, my VPN connection. And yeah, we know. We can't change this in message because it's part of an Apple Macintosh message, but it does say click on the continue button, and there is no continue button, so just think of continue as OK. It's crazy. So this actually is a requirement for Stanford VPN as of yesterday. We've sent out a bunch of communications all over campus, and there was the message that was visible on the VPN connection client, and we did several demos to our desktop advisory group, our Stanford University libraries, our help desks, and now you. So to get more information, you can go to, actually just forget about this, you can go to vpn.stanford.edu. That's the website with all of the information that you could possibly need to connect to Stanford VPN. And our help and resources are listed here. And I can leave this PowerPoint presentation with you guys, and so you can distribute it if you want. So how you can help right now, since you've come to this demo, please go back and encourage others in your area to set up a backup device for two-step authentication. That would be really helpful so they don't get stuck. Help any printed list users, help them move away from that, have them go get a token or try a different method. And just be on the lookout about other announcements regarding two-step authentication, VPN. We'll send it over to your guys' office, and you guys can distribute the information. So what questions do you have? Quiet. All right. Nothing? Okay, so is anybody here from the support desk? One person? 2 people? All right, so it's that actually went faster than I anticipated. Again, if you have any questions about anything, ask now. Otherwise, I'll just talk about a few things from the support side of it. If you want to stay and listen, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Should I just go ahead and start? Okay. So some common issues that we've seen, but first, excuse me, I always like to talk about what does work. And so what does work well is the push notification. SMS keeps working well. That seems to be a good one. And the callback keeps working well. And hardware token has pretty much been infallible. The only thing that we've seen with hardware tokens that people get stuck on is they don't enter the code in within the 30-second window. and then they say that it doesn't work. But the code actually expires after the 30 seconds. So if they entered in the code after those 30 seconds that they got it on the token, then they need to get another code by just pressing that button again. Common calls to our help desk people. The most common call is, I'm not sure what to do when I get to accounts.stanford.edu. And basically it's a walkthrough. Do they have to get into web authenticated sites? Do they need to get into things like access?
They might. Our help desk is outsourced, so when they're helping people, they might need access to get information. How would that work?
Oh. The help desk is outsourced, so they don't have SendNet IDs, right?
I believe they do, yes.
They have SendNet IDs?
Sponsored SendNet IDs, yes.
And so they're moving through the accounts process too. Okay. Well, they can help walk them through setting up the accounts just by going through it with their own account on the other end. There are some tools that our help desk has, and you may have to default to sending that person over to our help desk, to 725 HELP or 4357. So yeah, so I'll have that information in here also.
You might want to take into consideration with Mark.
Yes, okay. So if they have SendNet IDs, though, they should be able to.
Nick, I didn't hear what you said.
He said that they have contracts. And
I mean, just the last thing that you didn't.
Oh, no, that we want to facilitate a process for people who are contractors at Slack, because there will be issues, and we want to make sure that the help desk has the ability to help them, because they too, we're in an outsourced model for the help desk.
Okay, so Nick's comment was that because the help desk is outsourced, they're contractors, we want to make sure that we can facilitate their ability to assist other people who would need this, Slack employees or other contractors at the lab.
That's my question. Will contractors
And contractors
need access to web authenticated sites at Stanford?
Yes,
Yes?
and so for people who need that access, we sponsor SUNET IDs
I
at this
see.
point in time.
Okay, so then they would be like a new employee having to go into accounts and setting up two-step authentication, and then hence the walkthrough to help them out with that. So, or send them off to our twostep.stanford.edu website, which has step-by-step instructions on how to set up two-step authentication from the beginning. Removing and deleting devices. Let's say someone had a smartphone and now they just got a 6S where they used to have a 5. Now they want to remove that 5. If that 5 is the only device they have in accounts, it cannot be removed until another method is set up. So you can't have no device. You have to have some device in there if you set it up at least once. So that means maybe adding, well, no, you can't add the new 6S because it's the same phone number, most likely. So doing a landline callback backup device might be helpful. And even our help desk has admitted to setting or helping them set up printed lists just to get them an additional device on their account for that purpose, so that they can get in the new phone that they just got or tablet. But I would strongly encourage that if you get any calls and they have a desk phone, just say, let's set up your desk phone right now as a device, as a backup device. Yeah, so whatever they want to do in the future, they don't have to worry about this issue. So,
Joanne?
yes.
So it turns out if you change phones, so you had a 5S and now you want to get a 6, when you want to go to accounts, you have to authenticate to get there. You can still use the phone call method with your new phone if it has the same phone number.
True.
Although push won't work
Right.
and the 6-digit number won't work, but the phone call method will still work, and it's automatically set up when you set up your previous phone.
That's correct.
So
That's
that
a
gets
good
you your
point.
foot in,
Yes.
and then you can set up your desk phone as the second item and then reset up your phone.
Does that make sense? Yeah, because Mark is right. You will have to two-step in to get to that two-step method to set up a device.
Right, and that's exactly what I did because I forgot to set up my second device, and then I got a new phone.
Yes.
And
Okay. So you did a phone call back.
I did a phone call back.
Which
and
came
then,
to your new device.
Which came to my new phone number,
That's-
this new device, which has the same phone number. Then I set up a backup device, and then I deleted my old device, and
then you
I added
added
the new phone.
push on your new device.
Yes.
That's an awesome workaround. It's ingenious. I love it.
Maybe we should go with the first plan and set up the backup device when they do.
Yeah, but like Mark said, if they go to the Apple store during the weekend and then they give up their 5 and they get a success and they bring that back, and now the next time they go into accounts, they have to two-step to get into their accounts before they even got a chance to set up that backup device as their desk phone. So that's a very smart way to do that, doing the phone call back. Interesting. I'm going to tell Melissa that. She'll love that. I don't know if she's thought of that, though. But I talked to Melissa yesterday, and Melissa Weibaum is one of our help desk consultants who pretty much takes all the tickets for two-step authentication. So we had a long talk yesterday over IM about what they're seeing as the common problems that are coming to their help desk. And that's one of them. You can't delete a device off of two-step authentication if you have no other device in there. So again, remind people that printed lists no longer will work after May 1st, and the hardware token, they can get it at the Stanford ID card office starting next week. Okay, so Melissa informed me about there have been a couple of instances, which is not bad that it's only a couple as of December, where Duo Push won't work for someone. They set it up and, the camera won't register the scan or something. So her fix that she recommended was have the user set up the Duo mobile app on their phone, and on their smartphone, they go to their browser and they do the setup from accounts.stanford.edu on the phone itself. When they do that, they'll re-enroll the smartphone, and it'll take the camera step out of the loop. And it'll actually allow them to set up the Duo Push application without having to do the barcode scan. So something to give a try too. Time mismatch. Remember I was telling you about the little green key that's on the Duo Push app, and you can click on that key and you can get a Duo code, a passcode. If the time on your cell phone doesn't quite match the time on your computer, let's say you traveled to New York, you came back and your computer is still on Eastern time, there's going to be a mismatch there. The code is not going to work in that instance. Make sure that the user's time stamps or time on both devices match up. Something just to be aware of. If their Macintosh or their PC laptop's time is off, they have to reset it to the Pacific time. Again, a reminder about the bypass code. So if they forget their device and they haven't set up a backup method, they can use the forgot your two-step authentication method, the link that I showed you earlier on the WebLogin page. If they still have trouble, then go ahead and send them over to our help desk, because it may be something more than, they just don't have their device, and then we have the tools to wipe out their accounts and they can start over from scratch. But in that case, that would be one of the cases where they would have to come to the Stanford help desk. And I talked about this a little earlier. We had a user yesterday who was using the hardware token for a VPN connection and swore it did not work. And so he ranted and raved a little bit about it. And then he tried phone callback instead, and that worked. And then he wrote back to me later on and said, I just didn't enter the code in within the 30-second window, because when he then did that, then it worked for him. So he was really actually happy after that the hardware token worked with the VPN. Again, our help desk is there to provide help when it's beyond what you guys can do for a person trying to two-step in. Please either have them call 725-HELP and we'll just pick it up from right there, or submit a Help SU ticket at helpsu.stanford.edu and our help desk will get back. And that's, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot because we haven't seen a larger range of issues yet with two-step authentication. Yesterday we went live with VPN and we had 50 tickets. We had an issue with one of our servers, our Radius servers, that kept coming up and going down and kept coming up and going down. And so today we put a fix into that so that should work more stably.
So I'll throw in one thing that I learned when the hospitals were deploying their Duo two-step authentication. And that is they had a number of people who were trying to authenticate while they were using their laptops over the connections in airplanes. So, you know, you use these airplane internet services, yes, and they're flying coast to coast. So somewhere over in Nebraska, they decided that they wanted to log in. And,
okay. I mean, that's understandable.
And they had a problem with push notification. The hospitals chose not to do paper, and also they chose not to use tokens. But these folks would have been successful if they had used the 6-digit codes from the Duo app on their smart device.
Yeah, I was just thinking that when you were saying they're trying to use Duo push, and that's trying to push a notification to their device. If they didn't set up their device for Wi-Fi, the same Wi-Fi they're using on their laptop, they're not going to get that push notification, but they could get it by way of the green key.
Exactly. SMS is the same problem, right? So there's no SMS when you're on the airplane. There's no push notification, no phone call. Yeah. But the 6-digit code worked.
Yes.
And whenever you're in a place where you don't have connection, as you mentioned before, where you don't have a connection,
yes,
to the internet from your device, then that 6-digit code is always the answer.
Yep. It works just as like Google Authenticator did. And before we rolled out Duo, we did allow Google Authenticator as one of the methods that you could set up. Those people that did set up Google Authenticator before we went live with Duo can still use Google Authenticator for their codes. The same time mismatch applies to Google Authenticator as it does to the Duo code. The only thing is if they get a new phone and they want to use Google Authenticator on the new phone, there's no longer a way to set up that new device with Google Authenticator. It's once Google Authenticator is no longer supported that way, where we actually allow it to be one of the devices or methods to authenticate. So they could just use Duo instead. It's the same exact thing. It's just a different app. What else? Yes.
So with the hardware devices generating these tokens, do you guys ever see yourself using an app to generate those tokens?
Well, the Duo push app is what does that.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, again, as you can see, hi. I started a little early. Oh, I should have waited till 11, huh? So like, I don't know, I'm sorry it's so far away and I don't have my dongle that shows it overhead, but just click on that little green key next to the Duo Stanford University, and it gives you a code. So that works exactly like what the token is doing. Okay. Yeah, but people like to have a little device, that they can carry around on their keychain. So, and it is quite small. So, do you have yours on you? I have mine on me. I don't know if you've seen them, but yeah, so it's very, it's this big. Yeah, that's true. I have a picture right here in my slide set.
Can those be used instead of having an app on your phone?
Yep, they sure can. And the whole purpose for them was because they look just like this.
It's not a one-time token, right? The token regenerates.
It's basically a number generator is what it is. So it never has to be replenished with numbers. It's always going to give numbers. The battery lasts, we suspect, because this is what the company told us, between 4 to 5 years on that little token.
Is that something that would be provided to us for free, or would we have to?
Each person gets the first one free. If they lose it, damage it, it gets stolen, with keys or whatever, then a replacement can be provided for a $25 fee. And so let me go through those slides again since you guys just got here. Are you with the help desk? Sort of? Okay. You do some support? Okay.
While Joanne is flipping around, I'll mention, since I was involved in the Duo project originally before I came to the lab, another great use case for this is when people are traveling internationally. If they're going to places where their phone won't work and their main method of authentication is their phone, then it's a great idea to get them a hardware token before they take their trip.
Yes.
Yeah, I ran into that with the battery was dead, so that phone or service is interrupted.
The hardware token doesn't require any internet service, any network service at all. The Duo app, for just the code part of it, does not require any network service at all. So you can use it like you could use your camera on your device, so when you go traveling to Europe or something like that and you need to take something that will give you a two-step token or a two-step code, you could actually just keep taking your phone. You're probably going to take it anyway. Even if you don't have an international plan that you're going to set up. I mean, we always take our phones as our cameras, so you could just take it as that and use it as a token as well.
Yeah, there are some countries where we discourage people from taking their phones.
Their phones, yeah.
So.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then they take a hardware token, and hopefully that won't be confiscated. There is that. So a couple of things that we talked about with issues was that what works well, we know, Duo Push does work well. I mean, for like the 98% time that it's been used. Some people have little issues with it sometimes, but it's nice that it just sends a notification to your phone, you just unlock your phone, and you just press an approve button, and your website goes through. SMS has been working since we implemented two-step authentication, even before we started going with Duo, so it's been really actually probably the most stable. Callback is something that's new with Duo, so a person could, and this is one of the things that I was recommending earlier, that users should actually set up telephone callback as a backup method for two-step authentication. Because what that does is it just says you go to a web authenticated site, you say I want to authenticate in a different way, you press this little link there, and then if you have your telephone set up as a callback method, you just click on that, a phone call is sent to your phone by your desk, you pick it up, this woman's on the other line and she says, if you weren't expecting this call, please hang up now. If you were, press any key to continue. And you just press any number on the number pad, and she says, thank you, you hang up, and your website goes through. So I actually have a coworker that uses that because she doesn't like to get her phone out of her purse as her two-step method, so she just uses her callback. And then the hardware token is what we were just talking about, that's pretty fail-proof. And then the common calls to our help desk, again, I'll walk through this one more time. The basic call is, I need help figuring out what to do in accounts.stanford.edu. So pretty much they want their hands held and they want to walk through, they want you to go through it with them step by step, screen by screen. Now you really don't have to, because we have the screenshots on our website. You can go to twostep.stanford.edu, and that's TWO step, spaces or hyphens. And we have the step-by-step instructions for every device. So let me actually go out to the web and show you what I mean. Do a new tab. twostep.stanford.edu. And so here's our website here. We have all of the methods that we support and the device type, the authentication options that that device type can deliver, and the supported platforms that are available. And then on the right-hand side, here's set up a smartphone. So you send a user out here to this page, and you just have them go through the setup. Open a browser, go to Stanford Accounts, click Manage, click Two-Step. I mean, it's all right there. And we have screenshots of all of the different screens that they're going to come upon. So, I mean, this is a great way to help someone if they get stuck, they don't know what to do, they're a little nervous, setting up two-step authentication for the first time, or even setting up a backup method. We also do have how to set up that landline. So this is the one that we're encouraging the most, because most people have a desk phone when they're at Stanford. So this is the instructions for setting up the landline. We can walk these people through. You can even send a note to the Slack members saying, everyone, if you wouldn't mind, set up your landline as a backup method. So you just click on Call Me to Authenticate, a call comes in, press a button, you're done. So it's very, very helpful. And then we also talked about VPN at Stanford. So if you ever log into any Stanford service where it's requiring VPN, Stanford VPN, we also have a website, vpn.stanford.edu. And this gives us also information and instructions on how to use VPN with Windows, with Mac, with Linux, with iOS, and with Android. So these have all been updated with the new Duo VPN and the screenshots of what it's going to look like when you connect. So here's downloading the AnyConnect service and then using it after that, connecting to Stanford, what it looks like, what to do. So all of it is there. twostep.stanford.edu and vpn.stanford.edu. Hopefully that'll work. Actually, let me stay on here. So this authenticate in a different way. If I come in here and I want to do if I can put my password in right, so now it's like insanely long. No, not now. Okay, so here's where typically I have push notifications. If I would click on this, then a push notification comes to my phone. I just click on that approve button and I'm through to the website. But if I want to authenticate in a different way and use one of my backup methods, I can click authenticate in a different way, and now it gives me a passcode. So if I had a two-step authentication device, a hardware token, I can click on that hardware token, get my code, and enter it here. I could also go to my two-step app at this point right now and hit that little green key, and I can get a code there, and I could put that code in here. That would work fine. If I wanted to call to authenticate, I have my desk phone set up, but I also have my iPhone set up. Is there a signal in here? Yes, there is. So if I did call to authenticate, it sends me a phone call. Should come in any minute. There it is. So I press the answer button.
If you were not expecting this call, please hang up. Otherwise, press any key on your phone.
I think that's so funny. So I go to my number pad, and I just hit the number 5.
Thank you.
And now I went through to my mail. Pretty cool? Yeah, so that's easy. People don't have to enter a code and get the code numbers wrong or anything. So it's kind of nice. My mail's not too exciting, so I'm not worried about it. It's just a lot of work. Let's see what else. We talked about if somebody calls you and they say, I want to remove my iPhone 4 because I just got a 6 off of the system. It's kind of funky because let's say on Friday they had their 4. On Saturday they go to the Apple store, they get a 6. they have that 6 set up with the telephone number that they had on the 4, and now they want to put the 6 in the system, but the 6 and the 4 have the same numbers associated with them. So, and then to get into two-step authentication, when you first get into the app, you have to two-step authenticate to get in. So you've got kind of a little weirdness there. So the best way to go around that, and thanks to Mark, who had this brilliant idea, is have them go into the accounts.stanford.edu app, and when it comes to authenticating to get past the two-step part, have them do a call to the cell phone if they're not at their desk. They could do the desk phone if they had that as a backup. But if they did a call to the cell phone, it'll go to the new device. And then that'll allow them to get in, and then they can add the 6, and then they can remove the 4. I know that sounds weird, but it'll work. Printed lists, if anybody's using them, they're going away as of May 1st. And then we did talk a little bit about, for some people, we saw just a couple of rare cases where Duo Push didn't work when they tried to scan the barcode and set it up. Have you guys set up Duo Push on your devices? Let me go back and show you what that looks like. This is the setup for it. That's how it looks like. And okay, so how do I set it up? So basically it looks like this. So you start off at accounts.stanford.edu and you click on the Manage button. After you click on the Manage button, you get this screen, and then you click on the two-step auth tab. This is where you're required a two-step authentication to get to that. And so that's where the callback would come in handy for the other phone. And then you just click Add a Device, and you want to add your smartphone. You enter your smartphone's telephone number in here, and then you give it a device name. This is my iPhone, this is my Android, this is my mobile Windows phone. And then once you click on that and click Continue, you get this screen, and it says you are registering this device and whatever you named it. Do you want to use it with Duo Mobile? And you say, yes, I want to use Duo Mobile. So you click on that screen, that button, and then now you pause right here, and you go to your smartphone, and you go to your App Store, or you go to your Google Play Store, and you download the app. Once you download the app, you click on the I have the app button, and then it'll give you this code here. Pause right there again. You go back to your phone. Now you're going to launch Duo Mobile, and you're going to click Add an Account, because you want to add your Stanford account. You click OK, because you do want the Duo Mobile to use your camera. Duo Mobile has its own scanning, QR scanning. Click OK, and then you click Scan Barcode, and then you go back to your computer screen, put your phone right over that barcode. It scans it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to wait for it to scan. This is where some people are getting stuck. We don't know why, but just a couple of people have reported at this point the scan wasn't registering the account. So at this point, this is where we told the folks, okay, you know what? Forget what you're doing on your computer. Do it all on your phone. Go to your Safari browser on your phone or your Chrome browser, and go to accounts.stanford.edu there and do a setup there. So once they do that, then they don't have to scan something. They just go to a website, and then that website gives them the account. But this is the default way. And so that's what it looks like when it's done. You get your Stanford University account, and then you can use it for Duo passcode, you could use it for push, you could use it for call, and you can use it for a text message. And if you use two-step authentication for anything else, notice the, oh, there it is, the plus button here. You can click on that. Say you use it for PayPal. You can click on that. You get a PayPal site. They give you a scan barcode. You can do the same process. You could have multiple accounts listed on here that require two-step authentication. You guys have any questions at all? Think of anything, Mark? Nothing? Covered most of it? So this is what if I forgot my default device? Use one of your backups. This is where you do the authenticate in a different way. And then this is where you get your list of all the different ways that you have set up. When you do call to authenticate, call comes to your phone, just like you heard. And to set up a backup device, you go back to the manage, back to the two-step, and add a device. And like to set up your desk phone, you just choose landline. You could do your home phone too if you still have a landline. Add the number, add a description, click continue. And then this screen, anytime you add a new device, whether it's your landline or something else, it's going to ask you, do you want to make your new device your default? Because it's thinking, oh, you found a better way. So you can say yes or you can say no. And if it's no, then it's a backup device. So, and then this other piece to it too, if you forgot your phone at home, you never set up a backup device, you need to get into a web authenticated screen where you have to two-step, you can get a one-time use bypass code. Before, when this happened, you'd have to call the help desk and they'd have to wipe everything out and have you start all over again, setting up a two-step. Now instead, you can do the bypass code, and you should really take advantage of that moment when you get that bypass code to go back into accounts and use it to set up a backup device before using it for what you really intended to use it for at that moment. And that way you have it for the rest of the day. So you just click on at this point you forgot your iPhone or your Android, you can click on Forgot Lost Your Two-Step Authentication. It takes you out to here. You click on Lost Your Two-Step Device, and then you get this screen. And so, excuse me, at the screen, it says university barcode number, and it is the 15-digit number that's above the barcode on your ID, not your ID number that's on the left-hand side for Stanford. Not James T.
I'll point out that this won't work if you don't have a Stanford ID card.
Oh, no.
Is it easy to get another one of those?
You can go to the ID card office, the Stanford ID card office at Tressiter. They moved to Tressiter,
Okay.
by the way. Yeah.
That's
so-
the student center in the
the
middle of the
student union.
campus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the procedure is to get new ID cards if you're here on lab.
I think I'm sure they can.
Yeah, I just don't know. But if you're a contractor, for example, you wouldn't have a Stanford ID card, and then we'll have to work through some other mechanism to get this solved.
If that's the case, they can call the help desk, and the help desk will ask them a series of different questions. So, and then they could generate the bypass code.
I have a general question. So right now, when I log into Access, I get the code sent to my phone.
Yeah,
Do I need to make any changes and get the app now, or will I still be able to?
if you want to. I mean, you
I
do.
can still use it the way.
Yeah, you using SMS text message? Yeah, you can continue to use that, but I would recommend doing a backup method as well. And you could use push as a backup method if you want, or you can use your landline, or you can get a token.
So can I jump out to the management moment for this? If you use the app, it's free. If you do an SMS or a voice phone call, there's a charge to the university for that.
Yeah.
So we would prefer that you used an app.
And SMS could be, I mean, they could be charged also. If,
Yeah,
you know,
SMS, there's definitely a charge, a per call charge for every SMS message, for every outbound phone message.
Yep.
And it's more if it's international.
Yes. So as we were talking before, when you set up Duo for your smartphone, you can use any of these 4 methods. So right now you're using text, but you're using the original SMS text message. You didn't even set up Duo to get your text message. It just automatically works, and that's the way we pushed it out. Duo Push does need the internet, cell or service or Wi-Fi. Duo Passcode does not. So getting that that passcode on Duo doesn't need an internet connection, so you could do it on the airplane. You could do it in a foreign country without having to have internet connection. And then yes, Duo can call or text you at any number, even international numbers. up to 20 cents per text. And Duo can be used with multiple accounts, like I said. If you have an iPad and you want to set up Duo to be another backup method, look for the Duo app in the iPhone catalog, not the iPad catalog. And then non-smartphones can use phone callback or text. Printed lists are going away because tokens are here. What else? Anything that you came to find out about that I haven't mentioned?
Thanks a million, Joanne.
Is that it? I think we're good. Okay, great. I mean, we were intending to be here until 12, but if we got all the information you need.
Mark, maybe you know this. Is this going to be implemented on the Slack VPN soon?
So the question is, will two-step be implemented on the Slack VPN soon? Actually, you could use it today, but you'd have to be, so the Slack two-step is, it uses Duo, but it's a different instance than the university's instance, and you can use it today. And yes, we will be moving to protect more and more of our information assets with two-factor authentication. I'm hoping that by the end of the summer, and I'm just pulling this number out of the air, this is not an official OCIO anything, but I'm hoping by the end of the summer that all remote access to central assets will be protected by two-factor. That obviously it wouldn't include stuff in the enclaves, the science enclaves that chose to not implement it.
I'm just asking, for instance, on my laptop, I run when I walk around a lot, I'm always connecting via VPN. I'm trying to get an idea of
Sure, sure. So I actually have a better story for you since I see you have an Apple laptop. We are rolling out an Apple management program right now, and one of the features is secure Slack SSID access for Macs. So you'll be on the Wi-Fi network, the secure Wi-Fi network, and you won't need to use the VPN anymore.
And what's the time frame on that?
We're hoping that all of the lab-owned Macs will be enrolled by the end of March 30, or by March 31st. So we're setting up the test server yesterday. So we're looking for a rapid rollout. But right now, if your mobile device is enrolled in MDM, you can already use the secure wireless network on your mobile device. So if you had an iPad, you could use that with the secure network, and you wouldn't need to use a VPN. And it's just another step of figuring out the details of pushing that particular certificate to Macintoshes, which we demonstrated successfully yesterday. So now it's just, we got to get all the pieces together and get a wonderful presentation put together so we can tell people about it, like Joanna's done here today.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys for coming. Thank you. Thanks. Way back there. So, my pleasure to be here. Have a great day.